Then I always like to check because I get it wrong every time. I never know what is going on. So, hello, everyone. I am so excited. I am here back again live. If you didn't get enough of me already today or this week, I'm back again. And today I have a special guest on. I have Greg Wasserman from Cast Magic. And Greg, you want to tell us a little bit about Cast Magic and what it is?
Yeah, sure. It's great to be here. Great to be with everyone. Um, so I'm head of growth partnerships and community at Cast Magic. Cast Magic is an AI tool that ultimately allows you to repurpose your audio and video content and eventually all pieces of content. So instead of what do I do with this podcast or this long form video or the thoughts that are in my head, how do I start leveraging that and do more with it? And that's what Cast Magic allows you to do.
I love that. We use Cast Magic daily, and I have been an early subscriber to Cast Magic. So it's definitely super helpful for not just podcasts though, YouTube, right? And meetings. Tell us more. Tell us more about what you can use it for. Yeah.
So it originally started off in the realm that you and I are both familiar with in the podcasting space, but then we realized, like both of us, we do more than just podcasting. We're multifaceted if you look at it, and so it ultimately allows you then to take any audio video, and what we've done is built into the platform set profiles. So whether it's a podcast, coaching, a course, customer sales calls, meetings, and based on those kind of inputs of audio or video, we've already designed outputs using prompting. The famous buzzword that everyone's talking about these days with AI. And you'll be able to get all these great pieces of content. So you can start thinking about how do I repurpose a coaching call? And we can go through some of the use cases, but like I take my coaching calls. I'm like, great, client, like, here's our call. I've recorded it over Zoom. I give them a shared link to my Cast Magic account. And I'm like, here's our call. Go listen to it. And anything that I want to actually provide them, I'm able to already do that without having to type it all out and give them all this recap. And like, it does it for me. So it becomes incredible. On the podcasting side, you and I both know it's like great. It writes the title and show notes, but it writes me my blog, my social post, courses. It's like, all right, like I want to build a course, but I can't think about actually like doing a or a worksheet or a quiz, like all these other components that go along with it. I'm like, I just want to build this, deliver it, and the AI of Cast Magic will take what I've done and organize it into a quiz and a worksheet for me. It's like, thank you.
I
So yeah.
love that. I think it just makes it so much easier, right? Because you've already given the value to your audience. You've already done all of the podcast episodes, and then basically if you've popped them all into Cast Magic, you can just ask it a few questions, and it takes your information. It doesn't necessarily go out there into the world. It takes the information from you and makes it you. It delivers back what you've said. So,
And that's a huge piece because we think about like how AI right now and now the search engines are starting going like, was this written by human or was this written with AI? And so the nice thing is the only thing that's going to start delineating or differentiating everything is it actually you? Is it my voice? Is it my content? And so it's not written by AI. It's what I've said, and I'm an external processor. So if you ask me to start writing something, it's going to take me a while, but I can speak whatever random thoughts come and we'll organize those thoughts into a great article or a LinkedIn post. And so it's written with AI, but it's me and it's my brand and it's what my thoughts were.
yeah, I love that, and I love the fact that you have a bunch of different options for it. We're gonna give you a little tutorial in a minute here, but, I love the options where you plug in your episode, and then you are saying, "Hey, I want to send out some posts to LinkedIn. I wanna write a newsletter," and it will write a newsletter. "I want to, pull out some quotes for me," and it will pull out those quotes. I think it's just so magical.
Hey,
It
this
really
is it, right?
is.
You're like, this is
Yeah.
magic. This is incredible. And then like, how do you take I guess the word is, dust in the hard drive. You've got files that you've done in the back in the past. How do you start repurposing those? So in the podcasting space, like most podcasters, like don't listen to my first 50 episodes, or let's go easy. Go don't listen to the first 20 episodes. It's like fine, but there's still good content there. You may not have been perfected your craft. Your questions may not have been great. Like it may have been like a lot of discomfort in the growth of those first few episodes, but there's still good content there. So how do we look at those pieces and repurpose those and now go like, all right, how do I turn that into a long blog? Or how do I go and say, give me 3 episodes that I've talked about around a similar topic and now figure out a new piece of content that can come out of that. All that's possible now and it's all magical.
I love that. And actually you hit upon something that I tell people about all the time, which is don't forget about your old episodes, right? So yes, you may have, maybe you're on episode 200. Don't forget about episode 1 to 8, 20, because you had great content back then too, and just being able to repurpose that is super important to keep the growth of your podcasting, to keep your channel people interested, right? So, yeah, being able to plug that in.
And that's
Great.
what I coach podcasters on. I'm like, start early tagging your episodes. Like, start understanding how you can categorize it. Because if you can do that early on, it's going to make it so much better when you're on episode 200. You're like, what did I talk about early? And the only thing you can know about what you talked about early is probably your title. And most podcasts aren't properly titled, so it
Mhm,
doesn't really
mhm.
make it easy for you. So if you start categorizing them, which is a cool thing because Cast Magic gives you a robust list of keywords, you can like, oh, great, they put those keywords into a spreadsheet, and then you can start sorting things accordingly. And you're like, all right, well, here's 3 episodes that kind of go around this theme. Let's go repurpose that. Let's go figure out how do I write something unique from those 3 episodes, or look at an old episode just in itself and try and repurpose it.
Yeah. It just makes your repurposing of your content and your workflow, your ultimate workflow of your podcast much easier, right? You've come up with that content and now it's helping you, guiding you to make the most of the content that you've already created so that you can get it in front of as many people as you can, which is amazing.
As we like to say, what, like work smarter, not harder. So we
Yeah.
already know how much effort goes into a podcast to begin with. So if we can help you on the pre-production side as well as the post-production, and then just how do we reach an audience? I always tell everyone, it's like if you're trying to go after just downloads, then you're missing out on complete audience that doesn't want to listen to your show but would love your content. Like there's
Mhm.
so many podcasts out there that I will never listen to. I just don't got enough time in the day. But I get their
Sure.
newsletter. Like today, I look forward to this one guy's newsletter every Thursday. I never listened to his podcast, but his newsletter is a summary and there's some value to it besides just the podcast. Like, why wouldn't I want that? So how do I leverage that? How do I engage with my audience? And Cast Magic is a tool, allows you to basically reach all those people.
That's a really great point because even if they aren't avid listeners or regular listeners or don't listen at all, you have still gotten into their sphere. You're still in their fountain because you're still reading their newsletter. And regardless of whether or not they're actually getting a download from you, you are still a potential customer, a potential client because you're avidly listening, reading their newsletter based on the content that they grabbed from their podcast. So that's excellent. I love that too. Yeah.
As long as we start thinking outside of just downloads, because most people will never monetize their podcast on a, most people don't know what a CPM is. So, which is a cost per thousand, which is how ads are usually bought. So if you're like, oh, how do I monetize my podcast? Well, you can monetize with a newsletter. You can monetize it with social promotions because you're engaging with an audience that's outside of just of the download. And so you're still using your content, you're still your brand. Now you're reaching people in multiple places where that consumer wants to consume what you've got.
Yeah, blog posts, Pinterest pins. You could even, just
Poems,
yeah. Yeah, reels. You could write a whole
listicles.
reel
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. I love it. Awesome. So most of the clients that we deal with here are spiritually aligned. And if you can hear my dogs bark, I am so sorry. I did try to set the mute down. Apparently, there's a construction across the street, so they love it. So, um, but we are spiritually aligned women entrepreneurs, and a lot of what we do definitely relies on our own voice and our own topics and things that we talk about. And ChatGPT just doesn't always do it. So having your voice out there and having this magical tool help to create all of these different pieces is just really amazing. So oh, Mina says she can't hear my dogs. Oh, thank you, Mina. Fantastic. Love it. All right. So, would you like me to share my screen so you can see the magic of Cast Magic for us, and you can show people around, or
Sure.
do you have
Or
one?
you want me to share? What do you want?
I have one. I have one. I have
Oh,
mine up
great.
if you want. Yeah.
Go
All
for it.
right. Let me show you. Let me go there, and I will hit that and hit the present button and share my screen. And we are going to share the Cast Magic window, which is this one. Here we are. So, as you can see, we have a lot over here, and this is all of our really all of our podcasting clients, and then we even have some of our OBM clients because we do have some clients that want specifically reels created, or maybe they have YouTubes and or meetings even, and they would like some updates on the meetings or reels or whatnot created from those. So, yeah, could you just give us kind of a walkthrough of what it is, and then we can go from there?
Yeah, let's actually have some fun here. So in the upper left
Yeah.
corner, let's click on My Spaces. We'll delete this later. I know I'm going to play with your account here. Let's go create
Okay,
a new
so
space.
perfect.
Call it test.
Any particular label?
So here's the cool thing. You get to choose a label. So if you're in the podcast space, most people want numbers, or maybe you're a season. So you go ahead and you can choose the season options, or free form and go like, you know what? I don't need numbers. I just want like what I do. I choose dates, but let's keep it numbers. Magic
Okay.
words. This is words you think it's going to spell wrong. And then context prompt. This is giving the context of what this space is about. So it's a really cool, I guessed on a lot of people's podcasts. So in context prompt, I've actually created a space that says, this is a recording. These are recordings of when Greg's a guest on people's podcast. Write the content in the first person as Greg's a guest. And now every time I'm on the show, I just load it into this space and it's going to write like, hey, everyone, Greg was a guest on this show. Instead of me having to write specific content, it's already done for me. It's a genius. A lot of people like ourselves are already we have our own shows. We also guest. Like that's kind of the part of podcasting as a whole. Like I go on your show, you come on my show. So now you can have two spaces that allow you to have different content based on, I guess, where you're at. So for the
Okay.
moment here, just click save space.
Sure. I also just wanted to mention the magic words. I love that because a lot of women in my particular area, the priestesses, would maybe have different spellings of their names. And so having that magic word there all the time is very helpful. So can definitely make sure of that. So, all right.
So I
Next.
love this page. I usually love to start here because this becomes kind of the earlier part of our conversation. It does so much more than podcasting. I'm a visual learner. I'm sure for visual medium right now, it helps to see this. But like here you now have, you can see out of the box the 8 different ways, just standard, that you can go ahead and leverage a different kind of input, meaning the audio video file. So as most of us are doing on the podcast side, I can choose the podcast profile and then we can scroll down. We'll see out of the box, you're going to get all these great pieces of content that are going to be created for you. But as we said, you do more than just podcasting. So you can choose the coaching option, you can do courses, and it's all going to be different content for you based on that. So like if you click on courses and then scroll down, you can see now I'm going to go ahead and get a worksheet created, a lead magnet, a quiz. So imagine now being able to go ahead and I actually have a prompt. So I take my podcast, it turns it into a course for me, an outline of a course. I then go into like PowerPoint, Canva, build it out. record it, and then I bring that recording in here, and it creates the worksheet for me, creates a lead magnet that I can sell that course and all these other components that I'm like, I don't have to worry about. It literally, all I have to do is now just deliver that course, and the work is done for me, and I just have to edit it. I love that. I can take my coaching calls, and you can start now leveraging one-on-one coaching calls and use those for so much more. So I just love this screen because it gives you an overview of Cast Magic is your workspace for all things content, and knowing your audience, not just podcasters. Maybe you have voice memos, maybe you have meetings you're doing. How do we leverage those pieces?
Now, can you cross-pollinate? So if I have a podcast, but I really want, say, a quiz made out of my podcast, can you grab this particular custom
Prompt.
prompt
Yeah.
and put it into my podcast?
Great question. So at the current moment, if it is a prompt that we've pre-designed into that space, you can't like add it. If it's one that you've created, you can. But what I always tell people is, since you have the ability to create multiple spaces and it's all just part of your plan, you're not limited, go ahead and create 8 spaces, label them all the 8 options here. You don't have to put content in there, so you would be like podcast test, YouTube test, and then you can click on the prompts section. You'll see exactly what those prompts are, and then you can go like, oh, I like this prompt. So what was the prompt that Cast Magic wrote for a quiz? And then you can go to the space that you actually are using, and then create that prompt in there and maybe modify it. And that's usually what a lot of people are doing is like, all right, we gave you the basis, but you've gotten better with prompting. You've gotten better with understanding what you're truly trying to get. So you come up and modify your prompt, but we give you a starting point.
Nice. I love that because there are definitely some, specifically, I think, cross pollination for YouTube and podcasts because YouTube's got a couple of different options here than the podcast does. And sometimes I have found that I like a prompt maybe in YouTube for a particular client over a podcast prompt for some reason, So, or maybe we're uploading her podcast to YouTube. So we need both of them, both those prompts too.
And usually in that case, I mean, we look at the name of I guess the definition of what podcast is completely changed, right? So originally, if we think about it as a podcast being audio first, now everyone's
Mhm.
like, no, you've got to have video. And then you just take the audio component, strip it down, and put it in. So now you get two different distribution methods to
Mhm.
use it. So if those cases, you're like, well, which channel do I use? So in that case, I'm like, great, choose the podcast one, and then go ahead and add whatever prompts you want for your YouTube component. Because at the end of the day, the biggest difference between the podcast channel and the YouTube channel is the language that's going to come out. So if I put in a podcast, it's going to say on Kim's podcast, we talked about this. But you're like, oh, but this, I don't want it to use the word podcast. So you just then go ahead and create a prompt saying, don't use the word podcast. So that's usually
Mhm.
the best way to kind of go with it. And then I see some questions here. I just want to get it. Can it
Yeah.
beep out foul language? So it's not going to edit your audio and video. So if you are uploading something that's got foul language in there, you're going to want to edit that in your actual editing tool of the audio or the video from that. We're going to edit just the text component. So if you said something bad or foul, and you want to delete the text component of it, great, but it's still going to be in the audio video file. We're not a tool for editing in that regards.
Yeah. This is more for repurposing, more for creating your show notes, your show descriptions, your newsletters, finding those keywords. Actually, let's just continue on and we'll show you them what
Yeah.
more that it is. Yeah. So I'm going to hit
So,
podcast because that's what we're doing, right?
I mean, look, you can just close out of this. Let's go into one of your spaces. But I just want to show
Sure.
people this. And so now you've
Yeah.
got, as you can see, Kim's got all these spaces. So you can have
So
multiple spaces. From what I see, most of them are all under the podcast profile. But I see
Yep.
also you have the iOS recordings. Think, what is that? Eden's is, I
I
can't tell
think
what that
Eden's
is.
might be a YouTube, right?
Course?
It's a,
YouTube. Okay.
or maybe it's a course. It might be a
No,
course.
it's
Yeah.
customer
For her
discovery.
social media. Oh,
Okay.
there we
Yeah.
go. All right.
There you go.
Yeah,
So,
and then YouTube. Oh, this is the YouTube ones. Yep. So yeah. So we've got a couple of different ones depending on what the client's looking for. So this morning we uploaded live one, this particular one, You Are Immeasurable podcast. So I'll just click on that so you can see. So this is the latest episode that she put up there. My OBM did that, obviously on February 3rd, which is nice. You can see that date right there too. And then we're just gonna click on it and show you. This is the
Hold on, go
transcript.
back one step. Go back one
Oh
step.
yeah, sure, sure.
So, how do we get the content in here, Kim? I mean,
Oh,
that's a
I'm so
big
sorry.
question, right? No, we gotta
Right
figure out,
here.
like, how
Yeah,
and magic I mean, look, we are magic, but, like, you gotta get it in there somehow. So, yeah,
true.
you have the
Yeah.
ability to import your audio or video so many different ways here. So, you can directly upload it from your computer. You can grab a YouTube link. You can do the Vimeo link, or Instagram Reels, or TikTok. People use Zapier, so I could record this, and as soon as I can record this in well, we're doing it in StreamYard right now. So I'm not too
Mhm,
familiar with StreamYard, but like I have to imagine this recording is saved somewhere. So as soon as it's saved, it can be automatically inserted and imported into my account or the RSS feed. So going back to that conversation, like I guessed on a lot of people's podcast. Well, I don't have that file. So how do I actually get that file in here? I find the RSS feed and then I just import it there. Or if we think about all your back catalog, like you want to get that back catalog in here, and we'll show you exactly why, but like you want to get that in here. So instead of dragging and dropping every file from your computer, you've already done it. Go ahead and grab the RSS and just click import and get it from there.
I love that. That we actually just talked about RSS feeds today and where to find it on your host. So that's perfect. So yeah, if you've already published a bunch of episodes and you want more information about them to be able to repurpose them, there you go. Pull that RSS feed, pop that right in there, or just keep it going. I love that. And the reels. I didn't realize, I guess I think TikTok and Reels is new for me. I did not see that there recently. If I had, I would have used that one for Eden. But yeah, that's pretty neat that you can actually just import them. Is it just from the URL?
Yep. Just go find the
Perfect.
public URL and paste it in there, and then start using it. So you could think about the content you're creating. If you already have a reel, how do I import that reel into here and then turn that into additional content? How can I combine, 3 reels and use pages, which we'll talk about, and create content from that? So like, there's so much great content, whether it's your own or someone else's that you may want to leverage. You now have the ability to do it, and then one that's not on this option of 7, but I see you have the space for it, is the iOS one. So now I can literally talk into my phone, use the iOS app, and there's so many different opportunities within that that you can leverage for content. There's the app, just so you can see it. It's not in the
Mhm.
App Store. We're in beta, but you get it when you have an account with Cast Magic. But it's incredible because that's where I get my LinkedIn post. Like I
Nice.
literally will have a conversation with someone and I'm like, oh, that was I have a thought that came up after that. I'll record for like a minute or two, whatever my thought is, and I'll turn it into a tweet, I'll turn it into a newsletter, turn it into all these pieces of content that now I can push out there. So I'm not just tied to, call it a one-trick pony with my podcast. I'm multifaceted. I've got thoughts that I want to organize. How do I get those down into a cohesive way? Cast Metric allows me to do that.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I can't even tell you how much we use this again, like I said, every day. I absolutely love Cast Magic. So, all right. So I say I upload a file based on my after I've edited it.
Right?
I
Say
am
that 5
going
times
to
fast.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna upload that. It's gonna come directly from my computer, and I'm gonna do that, and then it's going to take a few minutes, right? It's not really a few minutes. It's like, well, it depends. Depends on what time of day, I think, to be honest with you, right? Um, do you only have the iOS app or do you have it in Android too?
Yeah, so right now it's in beta and iOS. Like most of us, we were fighting Apple because they're trying to they're limiting our ability to make it accessible in the App Store. So it's in beta. Our goal is to get that out soon, and then by the end of the year, if not sooner, have an Android app. My my previous few roles were in the mobile app space, so I can tell you app development. Well, I'm not a developer, but knowing that it's easier to develop in Apple than it is in an Android with the so many variations you've got. So it's just a matter of small, lean team. As Kim, who's an earlier user, seeing how quickly things have adopted, and we can talk about some other things that are coming down the pipeline. Right now, yeah, it's just iOS. You can do
Okay.
it as a iPad or your iPhone.
Nice. Okay. All right. I love that. Okay. So keep an eye out because they're growing. They're growing fast. As he said, this used to look a little bit different. Not so many options. Definitely the import option, I think only had upload files when I first started.
Right.
So yeah. So definitely. All right. So I'm going to click on that so we can get into some of the features in here. And then we can talk about some of the features over here too, right?
Sounds good.
All right. So transcription, as you can see, it has transcribed. It takes just a few minutes. I'm not sure if it depends again on the time of day I have found for me. And then you do have to enter the user's name, which is one feature that you do in order for it to continue the AI content. You have to put in this particular. Am I correct in this? Because
Yeah,
that's how it works for me. Okay. All
correct.
right. So
So it's going to
is there
say
a
right now
special
you've
feature?
labeled, I can't read what it is, but it will
This
say
is
like
Tanisha.
speaker A, speaker B. So
Yep.
you just go ahead and choose who the speakers are and label them accordingly. The
Yep.
transcript, back to the question about file language. So we're just taking your file, audio or video, and we're providing a transcription. You can edit that transcription, but it's not editing the actual file. It's just editing for words. So maybe it spells things wrong. Maybe certain sections were said by another person, or it missed who said it. So you've got the ability to edit this transcript so that you're able to then, of course, download it and use it as your blog post, use it as your SRT or VTT file, along with anything else you may need.
Yeah, that download transcript is here, and I have edited the transcript just using the edit transcript here and then going right in and typing right inside of it. So you could, if you had that foul language, you could definitely get rid of a word, remove it here in the transcript. The transcript's great because more and more companies are looking to have that transcript for just accessibility for everybody, but not only the accessibility, but Apple's rolling out transcript. YouTube has always had transcript. More and more podcast directories have transcript and can certainly be used as a beginning for your blog posts and things like that. Just more SEO for you to be seen and heard. So
And remember, it's your
we
words. So the SEO of your content, once again, your content is what's valuable here. And that's going to help you build your brand, build you as a thought leader, and also have the index, search engines find you in the index.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. So you can change the speaker right in through here. You click on the name and then you add that speaker name in here. And once you've added the speaker name, it will actually ask you. Let's see if I put in a different name. If I put in my name, will it? Yeah, it will pop up and it will ask you for the role. So guest or host. And then you're just going to choose one or the other and then create new speaker. But the nice part is if you are in the same particular area space, then you can
Space, yeah.
actually see right here that Tanisha has been a host, and so it's easy to just click on her name and it pops it right in. And there is a big blue box that pops up in the event that there's another speaker that you have forgotten about, so which I have done before, which is nice because you'll be directed to where that has started talking. So yeah,
And you also
especially
have all
because
the way to the right the speaker one. So it's like, all right, how many speakers did it label? Oh, just one. Perfect. I just only have to do her.
yeah, beautiful. All right, and also you can listen to the episode at the bottom too. So if you want to kind of listen along, you can do that just by playing it right down here, which is beautiful because sometimes you're like, "Oh, I have no idea what she said there. What did she say?" And it will just start talking and it will start going for you. So I love that. So, all right.
So two
So
other
some
cool things. No, before you go to AI
yeah.
content, two other cool
Okay.
things on
Yeah,
this
yeah.
section. So I love that you just called out you can play it. Now, if you upload it and it's a video file, you can watch it as well. So there's a video button that you can pop up and you'll actually be able to watch what's going there. And why are those both functions really important? You can clip media so you can start making little shorts inside your transcript. So if you wanted to find in the AI content, we give you a bunch of quotes. And you're like, all right, what do I do with these quotes? Well, let's clip them and turn them into little shorts. Or I know people that take the timestamps and they clip each section as its own standalone. So now they've got 10 little pieces of bite-sized content based on the 40-minute conversation they've had. You can clip anything that you want in here. In the next couple of weeks, we will actually be introducing a completely revamped studio function that will have audiograms, will have visual components, quote cards, and so forth. But right now, like if you were to highlight a small little section of the first piece, you'll see the clip media section. So actually, yeah, there, perfect. Start right there. And you can see it popped up with a little blue little timestamp. And then right above it, it says clip media. If I were to click that, it's going to start generating and it's going to download, if it's a audio only, MP3. If it was a video, it's going to download it as an MP4. And now you've got this great little clip.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, it did. You can't see it on the screen, but it did open up another screen to start to download that. So that's awesome. That's a newer feature, right? That's something newer.
I'd say about a month. I don't know. I've lost track of time, and I mean January flew by. Or actually, no,
Okay.
January was very long. So yeah, the rest of the year will fly by. But yeah, and like I
Nice.
said, in the next few weeks, next to Magic Chat, you'll see a new option says Studio, and that will give you even more opportunities to build content with inside here and repurpose.
I love that. So no needing to use other features. It's kind of all in one, which is nice because I know now, um, I don't know, do you want me to drop another name? Are you going to be competitor to some another place that begins with an O?
I've not used it, but I
Okay.
understand the conceptual what they do. So I would say yes, to
Okay.
some extent.
Excellent. I love that. I love that because so many people do like that particular feature, but this offers other features I believe is more valuable in the long run. So having the two of them together as an all-in-one, sweet. I love that. So that's awesome. I can't wait for that. Anything else before I switch the page?
No,
I
you're
tried
good.
switching.
Let's go.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. I tried switching and you're like, hey, no, wait. So, this is the piece that we use a lot because, of course, we will read the titles. Um, I never take the title exactly how you guys populate it, or I know it's not you guys, your little
Right.
minions
Yeah.
populate it. I just really feel like any title that has that colon in the middle of it was AI generated. But the beauty of it is you actually are given even though there's 10 there's really 20 because of the colon. So you can choose different ones. But I do love the ability to just have, like, a bunch of different title options here. So,
So I guess we can make a note of this. If that's how you like your titles, then go ahead and create a custom prompt and have generate 10 titles. Your prompt would probably be like, write me 10 titles based on this recording. Don't use a colon and whatever format you do like. And so then instead of the title options that we're providing you, you've now created your own prompt for what you want and you just save it. And now you could disable what we've given you and use what you've got. And now you'll probably save yourself the additional time just by that one quick step.
nice. Thank you. Awesome. That's fantastic. And you can also, here in the modify here, you can make them longer, shorter, casual, serious, or rerun the original too, which is a nice feature. So,
And I see
especially
a lot of people just overuse that. So just keep in mind, if you're not getting what you want, as I just described, create your own prompt, say what you
yeah.
want, get what you want, instead of just going like, I'm so frustrated, it doesn't work for me. It's like it's only going to give you what you're asking, but ask for something better and you'll get something better.
Yeah, I love that. I love and the new custom prompts right here in the very beginning, right here at the very top there, and you can just type those right in, which is nice. And then you also have the community prompts, which are pretty neat too, because these are created by other people in our Slack channel. Is that correct?
Correct. So,
Yeah.
Cast Magic, we are community led. So I've got what, over 1,200, almost 1,300 people in our Slack community. Conversations with people like you, Kim. It's like, all right, you tell us what you're looking for because you're users, we're users. So give us the feedback. What would make sense? How do we help each other? Um, right before we jumped on here, someone was asking me a question of something. I'm like, take it to the community. Like, let the masses help you answer this question instead of me trying to figure it out. Like, you're not alone, and that's the great thing. I mean, I think about the community you've built here. So now you've got another community of people that can support you, not only on this product, but also with anything that you're doing, because we understand like you're multifaceted. So how do I get guests, or how do I get coaching clients, or how do I get other components to what I'm trying to do, or questions answered?
Yeah. I love that. Yep. Perfect. Okay, so is there anything in this particular section, the AI, that you want me to go over real quick? I can kind of scroll down, or do you want to jump to something else? Let me know.
So I love the word that either jumped out at you, or you're leading the witness with the word jump there. So click on jump, right? So click on jump, and so instead of scrolling down, you've got the ability to see all the prompts, and you can see Kim's got some custom ones that she's built in here, as well as the ones that we've given. So if you get 13 prompts out of the box in the podcast profile. But like I was just alluding to, you're able to add additional prompts and customize and save them accordingly. And here it seems that you've got a show notes one, a main points one. But the key points, as we now scroll down, if we want to look at it, it's going to give you your SEO keywords. It's going to give you your timestamp. So like, you're the podcaster here. Like, why don't you talk through each of these sections?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So typically, other than the titles at the beginning, love the keywords because they will pull out different words out of your podcast that you are talking about. The keywords, those SEO keywords, long tail keywords and all that, it actually will give you those. So this, for instance, the long tail keyword, cultivating an audience right here, spring cleaning, emotional healing, self-love, self-acceptance. So she talked about these in her episode, which you won't hear till next Tuesday, but she talked about these in her episode and they are just popped right out. So nice to be able to use them in a blog post, in her show notes, or just any kind of areas that she wants to do. You could do like a little reel with like the bloop 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 bloop, comes up, and these use some of these keywords there, which would be really cool.
I also love about
The
the keyword section is if you have a spreadsheet and you start categorizing everything, these keywords, drop them in there into each episode. And then when you're looking at, all right, where there's themes across certain episodes, you can start leveraging these keywords and go like, all right, these are 3 episodes that had these 3 keywords in there. Let's go ahead and recommend, hey, if you like this episode, here's something that you may enjoy. So you can start repurposing. How do I get my listeners to start listening to something in the back catalog? Or as we'll talk about with pages here, you can then start using those 3 episodes that have a common theme and repurpose content from there. So there's a lot that you can do that keywords really helps you with.
I love that. Yeah, because there's a lot more to grabbing all of those keywords. People do have huge spreadsheets with all of their keywords for blogs, and sometimes people forget to use them for their podcasts. So great point there. Absolutely. So the timestamp overview we use quite often here. We put these timestamps in. We actually use the timestamp overview in conjunction. I'm going to scoosh by the questions for a minute here with the key topics and bullets. We kind of smush those together and sometimes look at either one to kind of decide what might be the better topic for that. But how do you view the key topics and bullets here?
So there's a great prompt that someone in the community came up with. Um, Instead of just looking at that, it's literally a prompt that they are able now to copy and generate more content based on those key topics and bullets. And I thought it was just genius is figuring out how do I leverage this besides just a what do we talk about without having to listen to the episode? What key themes are there without having to listen to it? Well, what could I do with that? So it's amazing to see smarter people realize this is a great use case for it. Or even the timestamps. I know people that have taken the long form variations of the timestamps, and those have become their social posts. And they're starting to not just use it as a YouTube chapter, or Spotify chapter, or a blog section heading, but they're using it as actually a social promotion to go like, hey, at the 22-minute mark, here it is. And so you can either force the listener to go like, oh, I'll wait until the 22-minute mark, or jump to the 22-minute mark, whatever the case may be. But you're at least letting people know here's things that you may won't be interested into this episode. Really cool.
Nice, nice. So then the other piece that we use all the time is the clip finder, quotes, hooks, and timestamps. And if you had multiple speakers, you would use this little caret button over here to actually go through all of the different speakers, which is kind of neat too, because you don't lose that speaker. So it's this one here is only one person's a solo episode, but for instance, if she had multiple people, there could be multiple pages here of all their different quotes and clips. And we use this for not just quote graphics, but also Instagram Reels, TikToks, Shorts, whatever you like there. So, and it's nice to be able to go find it really nice and easily and make that into the reel. But it sounds like it might be easier soon.
And there you go. Now you'll be able to go ahead, or now currently you're able to go and find this quote in the transcript and clip it. And so saving you the going out of different tools. But I guess it comes down to the functionality that you're looking for. But at least the basics are there.
Yeah, I love that. And I just wanted to go over real quickly, again, reel scripts. So if you wanted to create a reel, they've got reel scripts, they've got LinkedIn posts and the newsletter, which again are some features that we have used before for different clients for different reasons. And it's just really cool because it's already like done for you. You just have to kind of look it over. Not a lot of my clients use Tweet, but they are there. We do have the Tweet threads and Threads by Instagram. That's it. Is Threads still around? I'm not even sure.
I actually got tagged on someone's thread yesterday, and I'm like, oh, I have a reason to open the app right now. But
Yeah.
what I will say is I don't use Threads or Twitter, but I love keeping those two sections enabled because the way the content is organized, it gets my brain thinking of like, oh, it made this into a very succinct quote or item. And I'm like, how do I take that sentence and can I make that? Because I live on LinkedIn. I'm like, is this sentence or this idea better worded than the LinkedIn wording that they gave me? And since this is all editable, I can start just typing or copying and pasting and putting it in there before I actually bring it to the medium of choice. So as you're
Yeah.
saying, like you've got the ability to edit inside here. It took one recording and created 13 pieces of content for you, and
Yeah.
you aren't even you only have two extra prompts, so you could technically I know people that have 50 plus prompts in here.
Wow.
um
Wow.
whether you're writing different poems, so I've got people that are taking the recordings and turning into a poem, turning into a listicle, turning it into three different kind of poems, three different kind of LinkedIn posts based on the audience or the demographic they want to target. It's your words. It's just now how do we repackage it so that it fits the audience that you want.
That's amazing. I did not realize that you could put up to I'm sure maybe more than 50 then, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. There's no
wow.
limit to how many
That,
prompts you put in there, which is also why the jump feature becomes really useful. Because if you've got 50
sure.
prompts, you're like, I don't want to have to scroll. So
Yeah.
let me just jump to whichever prompt I need and click on it there.
Yeah, I can see where that would be. Absolutely. And I just wanted to briefly touch that it also does give you hashtag options, which is a really nice feature too. So I love that. Do you want to tell us about pages? I'm gonna go click over on pages, unless you have something else in this particular section. We didn't even talk about
Yeah, I
magic
mean,
chat
look,
either.
we,
We didn't talk
we got to
about so
talk about
many
Magic
things.
Chat.
Okay,
So
we go
scroll
to magic
down.
chat.
Let's scroll
Oh,
down.
oh,
Actually,
we're gonna
no,
scroll.
keep scrolling because you've
Okay.
used Magic Chat.
I have used Magic Chat. Yes. Yep. So Threads, here's
So
my main
there you
point
go.
in my show notes here. Yeah.
So you can see it says save prompt, which means Kim has gone ahead and said, these are things that I want every time I load in a recording to this space. I want this pulled out. And so you can either use it Magic Chat per recording, or what she's done is I've saved this. So every recording, this will run. Hence why you could have like 50 prompts that are automating any kind of content you would want to extract, back to the examples I was just providing.
Yeah. And I think it's neat too, if you create a saved prompt, you can actually share it amongst others, which is nice. You don't have to just save it in one if you had other spaces, so you could do that. So, all
And
right.
so then,
I'll
yeah, Magic Chat, go for it.
all right, Magic Chat. So, here we go. What's going on with Magic Chat? I'm gonna be honest with you, after I created those last ones, I haven't touched it in a while. So let's is there anything new?
So that is a great point. You once you've set things up, you may not use Magic Chat because like, all right, I'm used to this. Or as you start thinking, or as we have conversations, like, oh, I haven't even thought about those things. You're like, I'm not even using this to the full extent. Like, there's so much more content that I could be extracting from my recording. So Magic Chat, think of it as like Chat GPT built in. And now you can
Mhm.
start asking what you want. So I think of Magic Chat as your playground and trying to figure out what is the prompt I want, what am I trying to extract from it. And then once I've got that down, I can save it. And then once I've saved it, it's like the other two at the end of your AI content. It's going to run every time. Or maybe there's points where, you know what, this prompt I'm coming up with is only relevant for this specific recording. And then great. And then you type it in Magic Chat. You don't save it. It doesn't run for everything else, but at least you're able to extract what you need. So this is where you're able to go ahead and start translating some of your content into other languages. So right now it's
Mm.
English to English, Spanish to Spanish, but maybe you have a duolingo audience, or you want to start building your audience into something else. Like what you say is great. So why does it have to be just English? So I can go like, hey, write me a LinkedIn post in Spanish, and it's going to go ahead and do that. And it's going, if you speak Spanish, like great, I can go ahead and now edit it and make sure that it's accurate, but it already did the work for you. You can use this to
Nice.
automate content for your guest. So I see that happen a lot for podcasters. You are struggling in your instance. She doesn't have a guest. It's just a solo show. But if you have a guest, you're like, how do I get my guest to post? I'm going to go ahead and use Magic Chat and automate, write me a guest post for or a blog, newsletter, and all these other assets that I may want. And then I automate that. And so now I can go ahead and send that directly to my guest, going, hey, here's your episode, here's a recording, and here's content I created for you. And you can automate all that stuff for and help you and help them.
Yeah, that is amazing, and I do know, or I used to yep, I can still share. So, I have shared this with clients before, so if you needed to share the link so that they can take a look, you can do that right in there too. So, that's a nice feature, especially for, businesses like myself, who I might have to share it with a client to be like, "Hey, did you particularly have a title that you liked?" Or something like that. So, yeah, I have done that before, which is really a neat feature. And you could share it with your guests, which would be amazing because then they could kind of handpick if you didn't, sometimes it's easier for them not. It depends on your relationship with your guest, I suppose. Everybody's different.
The nice thing is you can enable Magic Chat. And so going like, hey, I created this content for you. If you don't like this, great. Here's Magic Chat. If you understand prompting, go ahead and create, and they can start playing around with it. And that always makes it easier.
Yeah. And get some hooked on Cast Magic because why not?
There you go. And then you
So,
use your affiliate link and they sign up. And as we all know, or any buck we can make as a podcaster is a good one, but we also are supporting people. So it's a great thing too.
getting them seen and heard is super important to me. So, absolutely. All right. I love Magic Chat. But like I said, I haven't used it in a while because I already created the prompts. So, but now I might have to go back and think of some more.
Yeah,
So,
if you're only got 2 in there, there's more you could be doing. There's more ways to repurpose. So I will challenge you to go like, all right, how could we do more? And which also then you push your clients going like, look, this is the bare minimum, but like we can do more. Let's do more. Let's help you grow.
Yeah.
and look at it beyond just the downloads.
I love that. Challenge accepted. 100%. I'm doing it.
There you
All
go.
right.
All right, still in
Uh,
Pages.
all right, Pages. Yeah, Pages is still says it's in beta.
Yep.
How long till it's out of beta? Do you know, or is it going to be for a while?
Probably for a while as we continue to refine it and in a sense, like get the system going,
Hmm.
get more people using it. I think this is one of the most underutilized features in Cast Magic because people aren't too familiar with it. Prompting is really important here. So if you're not familiar with prompting, it becomes a little bit of a challenge. And then also thinking about what do I do with all my content? Maybe a little overwhelming. And so Pages will hopefully help you work with all of that.
Great. And there is a little mini tutorial at the top here. And as you can see, I've never used Pages for this. So this is telling me that I need to use up to 5 recordings. Does it matter if it's up? I mean, it obviously would be the same person's, but is this a good place to use your keywords to kind of pull those keywords in and you would find podcast episodes based on the keyword? How do you view finding those episodes?
So Pages is going to allow you to take up to 5 recordings in a particular space. So right now, whatever space you're in, we're only working with those particular recordings. So I couldn't go ahead and say like, all right, let's take 3 recordings from, in your sense, 3 different clients and try and create content. You can't do that. It's got to be all in
Yeah,
the same space. But what it
sure.
allows you to do is create a long article. So click on new page. And so it's now, you can see the add recordings. So if Kim clicks there, you're going to see all the recordings in this particular space. She's able to choose up to 5. And then you've got 2 different output options. So output style. So if you click on output style, the first one I like to call out is long form article. So this is going to create you a rich, like 2,000, 3,000 character article.
Hmm.
Once again, if we go back to the concept, this is you. This is your words, your brand. All we're doing is now organizing a couple episodes into this rich, long article. And from an SEO standpoint, since it's organized by AI, but it's your words, that is incredibly useful for you from an SEO standpoint. And then standard output, this is going to be pretty much anything else. So for what I've done with it, is I've taken 5 coaching calls and I've turned those into a course. And I'm like, hey, write me a course framework based on these coaching calls. And then I'm able to go ahead and build a course. I've gone and said, hey, based on what I've talked about in these episodes, write me an article. I've used it to create an email sequence to go ahead and get new clients. Like there's so many different things. I've seen speakers take their speeches and load it in here. Look at the Q&A sections of those speaking engagements and try and organize content based on what other questions they've come. Going like, all right, what questions have I been asked? And then how do we leverage this to build in new content? Um, I've seen people in the real estate industry, just as an example, I like getting the creative juices going. So hopefully everyone
Sure.
listening here thinks about themselves, but has taken a Yahoo Finance video, a Instagram reel, and a voice memo that they've created, brought it into one space, and then go like, hey, create me a newsletter based on these 3 articles, or not articles, 3 pieces of content that I can now push out to my audience. Or from a podcast standpoint, if you start understanding themes, take those themes and go like, hey, how do I repurpose this? Write me a blog, write me something based on the themes I'm seeing here. Your mind can kind of take you wherever you want, but this is where it allows you now to repurpose that.
Yeah, I think for my particular clientele, I think having that ability to take their coaching calls or take their free calls that they're doing, I think that's most important, right? Those free calls, everybody's like, you need to provide free content, free content, free content. And maybe it was a Facebook Live or maybe it was a YouTube or whatever, and a coaching call, and then be able to say, can I have a course on this? Because I'm sick of doing it over and over again. Being able to plug that in, that's pretty key there. That's really nice because, you know, sometimes people can't think outside of the box, right? They're like, I know what I do. I know I do it really well, but how do I turn what I know and what I do into something bigger? And this is just allowing you to do that, which is kind of cool, right? It's kind of
And
cool.
if you're stuck, we got a community. Come learn together, and we'll just continue to drop knowledge bombs, and people will share how they're using it. And you're like, oh, wow. This is why I believe I bring up a real estate agent example with your audience of female spiritual entrepreneurs and all. It's like, hold on, what if I did that in my realm? That's the same
Yeah.
thing, only yeah, it's amazing.
That's pretty cool. Is there anything else here that you wanna show us before you, tell us more about Cast Magic, or we finish up with, telling us about Cast Magic?
No, I think we've covered at least the podcast and all the different goodies there and the pages piece. So yeah, I think we've covered. Only thing is we go back to that first screen with the 8 spaces. Right now, we've all just focused on podcasting, but know that you can use different recordings in different spaces that can get you there.
These ones here? Yeah. Sales
Yeah.
calls, coaching, meetings, customer discovery, courses, webinars, YouTube. And the nice part about this is, see, I did not remember with Eden, which I had chosen. And I looked at each one of those and then I looked at these to see which ones I wanted to use with her. And that is, I think, what prompted me to use the customer discovery one for that one. So, but being able to see these and kind of give an idea of like, oh, yeah, I really need a session worksheet, or I really need a lead magnet. Who doesn't need a lead magnet, right? So having those abilities is really kind of key there for that. So it's amazing. All right, I'm going to remove the screen. So thank you so much for being here today. I super appreciate it.
My
And
pleasure.
I know that Cast Magic is relatively new, but is super growing. So what's coming down the pike? Anything new
So
that you can tell us about?
yeah, I mean, we just celebrated 1 year from idea to completion, wherever we're at now, right? Talked about the studio function, so being able to have some more video opportunities and quote cards. Um, our North Star is accuracy. So it's how do we improve the output so that you are spending, once again, working smarter, not harder? How do I have more content to just edit and have to edit less because the quality is just so good. Um, and so we'll continue to build that. And then if you look at our Slack community, there's a product feedback channel. And so people are always asking like, hey, can I get this? And that's some of those things. 2 days later, it's built, and that's kind of the joys of it. Some of it's like, all right, we've got it on the roadmap, and we'll just keep coming. But we're the users ourselves, so if you're looking for it, it's probably going to make our life easier as well. And so that's kind of the joys of things.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. Thank you so much for being here and explaining everything to people and walking them through the magic of Cast Magic, I should say. So it's been really
Hey,
cool.
my pleasure. Look, there's no action without change, or there's no change without action. I knew I had it wrong. And so I want to give your audience and your and everyone listening here, a free gift. So you tell me how to drop in the link and the promo code so that you can get a free month to play.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah. So I think if you're on StreamYard, you can just post that right there in that box on the bottom right there, and it will post, I think. It says can't post comments to Facebook groups. I don't know. We'll see. If it doesn't post it there, I will post it myself. And I'll
Here, I
post it
send it
in
to
the
you in the
newsletter.
private chat because it's not going to let me do anything
Perfect.
in the.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. And I will definitely get that to people. And then what I'll do is I'll also post that. Oh, perfect. I got that. And I will get that out to the newsletter. Let me see if I can put this as a comment here. Boop. There we go. Did that show up? Hopefully. Yep.
Yes,
There it
I
is.
see
It's
it.
me. Yay. Okay. So there you go. You can get that free month and give Cast Magic a try. And yeah, I love that. Love that. Thank you so much, Greg. I really appreciate this. This has been really amazing.
This
And
has been
thank you
fun.
for bringing Cast Magic to the world, or helping bring Cast Magic to the world, because
My
you're
company.
making my life
Yeah.
easier. So, yeah, yeah, I love it. So, all right. Anything
This
else
is
you'd like
fun.
to share
Hopefully
before we
everyone
go?
found value here.
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
find me on LinkedIn. I love to connect. I'm here to help. I run our onboarding calls. I run our Slack. Um, we're accessible. We're here for you. So yeah,
Perfect. All right. I'm going to leave this in my group. I'm also going to upload it to YouTube, and I'm also going to share it with my Divine Feminine Network network community as well. So it'll be around. So I
there you
am
go. You
looking
got to use
forward.
that link, that code, and it expires. Once again, there's no change without action. So
Yes.
you've got a week to use it. Otherwise, um, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. No problem. All right. Thanks again, Greg. It has been great. Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure. Likewise. Cheers.
Bye. Cheers.